has been a failure. And I say that because we all know, and I don't want to play politics again, I'll mention I am a registered Republican, but I think the fact you had low turnout by the Democrats 2 years ago, and I think my party, the Republican Party, was unduly influenced by certain right-wing groups who had an agenda, and I think that kind of helped the Republicans get the election. And now what's happened, for 2 years we've gone down a path that is sincerely jeopardizing the county. Now we're going to see it with this budget. And the reason I say that is that there's in order for this budget to be balanced, it's $150 million in labor concessions. And I think that it's not for the whole multi-year plan, the new 4-year plan. It's for every year of that plan. That's $600 million. Now for my members, that's $35,000 a year for 4 years, or $140,000 over the course of that plan. Now why is that going to affect the residents of Nassau County? It's going to affect them because you know that's not going to happen. There's no way a labor leader is going to be able to get his members to give up $35,000 a year. So you're going to have layoffs, and layoffs means less service, and really what it means is that path that you have chosen to go down, and I'll say it, it's the rhetoric of no taxes, no matter what. Certain people up here are saying that I'm not going to approve a budget with a tax increase, and you didn't take the time to figure out, what if we had a small tax increase? What if labor gave something reasonable? What if the residents had to contribute something reasonable? What would it take to maintain this quality of life? And again, I mentioned it the last time about some of the problems in Suffolk with police response. I just came back from a national convention where cities are going down the same road and services are dwindling. And what happens is, rather than a homeowner having to pay $100, $200, $250 in taxes, they're now paying the same high taxes, and we know they're high. They're paying the same high taxes with reduced services. And I would urge you, especially to those members on my left, again, as still a registered Republican, to rethink this budget, to sit down and look at the quality of life. People like Rose Walker, I know your area up there, the parks, the great condition they're in. Dennis Dunn, you were my legislator, Norma, now you're mine. The parks, the services, the lifestyle that we have, you're jeopardizing, because of the influence of a certain political group, you're jeopardizing this county and the lifestyle that everybody has. And I'm just going to urge you, please take a close look at this budget and vote it down. Thank you.
Excuse me, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Leonard. I just would say to you for the record that I personally, as one who's been saying no tax increase, joined by my colleagues, is I really think you have to rethink. I think you have to go out and take a real long, hard look at the community, at what's going on. You know, I hear from people on a constant basis, the house down on the corner is vacant. Harry next door just lost his job. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm a paycheck or two away from that. They don't want to pay $200, $300 a year more. Maybe to you, $300 a year more isn't much, but to them it is. And, you know, the service is wonderful. Everybody respects the police, no question about that, myself included. But, you know, give a little net, 300, you really think we'll stop at $300? That we're gonna have a tax increase so we can fund the police contracts and the CSEA contract? Okay, fine. Now what do I tell the Long Island bus people that want only $26 million more to keep the buses running? And what do I tell the next group that comes in that says it's only $5 million, it's only $3 million? And the litany goes on. Now we're not talking about a $300 tax increase, we're talking about more. And even if we wanted to raise taxes, which we do not, there is Governor Cuomo's tax cap. That's 2%. That's $16 million if we were to raise taxes 2%. $16 million. We're looking at a $315 million deficit. Okay, we raise taxes, we get $16 million. Where does the other $299 million come from?
Well, first of all, let me say a couple things. Obviously, the solution is not an easy solution. And $250 to people, by reducing services, you're gonna have a hard time selling homes in Nassau County. Somewhere, you have to sit down and you have to come up with something reasonable. And I'm not gonna, we all know that the fact of the matter is that school budgets are what's killing people, and I know that the county executive has some proposals to reduce that. But reducing services is certainly not the answer. The other thing, and you probably know better than I do, the 2% cap is only based on if you don't get a supermajority or 60% of the legislators voting to go beyond that. So, and I'm not saying you have to go beyond that, but somewhere you have to take a look at, that the demands on labor in this budget are totally unrealistic. And I think everybody up there knows that $150 million per year, and again, if you look at the 4-year plan, that's $600 million, that's not gonna happen. There's no labor leader, and sometimes I consider myself persuasive. I don't have the ability to convince people to give that much. So you know that the resolution is gonna be reduce services, and the county is not gonna be able to be the same type of county as sustain it. So somewhere, something has to be worked out that's reasonable.
The $150 million figure that you referenced in the 4-year plan, financial bill, the staff informs me that is not $150 million of cuts each and every year. What that is if labor and management reaches agreement to achieve $150 million in labor cuts, that $150 million figure is recurring. So it's already there in the outer years.
Yeah, it's recurring, except that in order to get the $150 million, each employee is going to have to make a concession. That same concession is going to occur every year, so it's cumulative. The savings to the county, the $150 million per year, will be $600 million. So it's not going to be $150 the first year, then $300 million the next year.
It's not going to be $150 the first year and then cut another $150 the second year.
Right. But each employee, the members of my union, and I'm happy with this job. I'm glad I took this job when I got out of college. But the members of my union, excuse me?
I said I well understand.
The members of my union are to give up $35,000. That's going to, the next year they're giving up $35,000 again compared to what they would have been getting. That's $140,000. Now that's kind of a big burden if the average cost to a taxpayer could be, and we don't know what it is because no one has sat down and had any proposals that involve a tax increase. We don't know what the average cost to a homeowner would be. Maybe it would be $250 a year. So maybe over the same 4-year period, it's costing them $1,000 as compared to somebody with $35,000. And then we also know, what's one of the nice things about this county is that if you're going to talk to certain groups in the middle of the county where homes are vacant, if you take a ride and you start in Great Neck, you go up to Laddingtown, you go all the way across to the Suffolk line, and you hop over and you come down to homes on the waterfront, and you end up in Hewlett. There still are a lot of people here. There's wealthy people here, and to look at options where you can redistribute what the tax base is going to be and the tax load. I think there's ways of doing this where labor can do something reasonable, where taxes can be reasonable and not burdensome, and services can remain. I think that no one's taken the time to look at that. I think this budget that the county executive proposed, after NIFA agreed to allow borrowing, at $310 million, you subtract the borrowing, a couple other things, it's $150. No one took any time to look how they're going to get to $150. You slapped it on labor. And you know it's not going to happen. It can't happen. If I told you that I could get that from my members, I'd be lying. So you know you're going to reduce services.
I don't know that at all. What I would suggest to you is that you are making your case to the wrong body. I know that there are negotiations going to be going on or going on. I know that NIFA is in the room. I know that each one of the unions have been given a dollar figure as to what the concessions or the contribution, call it what you will, it has to be achieved, what your portion of that $150 million. Beyond that, we don't know any further details until something happens and the county executive submits to us a revised contract or whatever it is that would cause these concessions to take effect. I do know that the ball on this whole thing is in the union's court, and to have you come up here and just say to us that it's not